Maybe at some point you just want to make a traditional aspen and you don't really want to do one of these gnarly ones that are that have all different kinds of angles to them. So when I say traditional, I mean the straight up grove, right? Well, I'm asking myself right. So straight up grove, and there's a very pretty stand of them at the end of my straight. You can see here I'm just tapping and trying to get lighter as I go. Tapped a little hard there. That's no biggie. Now, the whole idea is to taper this tree towards the top. So start at the bottom, a little bit of taper, closer, closer, closer. Time you get done, you narrow down to one branch. And as I said, aspens typically have more damage on the bottom than on the top. And then what they do is really interesting. They kind of protect themselves, and so I want to tap and make sure. Got way too much paint on there. You can see it. See, I don't have my sharp edge, so I want to pull back and I want to get that sharp edge on there. Now, what they do is they tend to start growing branches above where the elk and the deer hit them. First of all, I believe a lot of it's just due to scratching off velvet. But probably the majority of it is due to them eating the aspens. So the aspens have raised their branches up quite a bit as a result of the deer and stuff like that. So this is traditional aspens. In other words, it fans out towards the top and it gets narrower, narrower, narrower. And there's a whole grove of these little guys down the street from me. They're really pretty. And you could also do this with white on a dark background. But in general, what we're doing here is we're just making the aspen look like it has a taper. And so there is nothing wrong here. You can see I've tapped a little hard in a few places. Very easily covered up. All you gotta do, get out your yellows, and we can make a whole grove of these guys if we wanted to. Alright, so again, towards the bottom you got more. Now if you want, you got more of the black, and towards the top it's whiter, and you can see it's whiter there. And if you want to make a tree root, that's fine. You just branch it out down here. Maybe it's had a little bit of trauma, and you can add some black. So there's your basic aspen, and that's with the acrylic. So if I pull over a little quicker, a little easier, start grabbing my oils, what I do is I take a nice little Q-tip on one side, I dip it in the Bob Ross Yellow Ochre, really pretty color. On the other side, Cad Yellow. Now the Yellow Ochre kind of makes for a nice background, and again I can start covering up the external mistakes I made. The nice thing about the oil is it stays wet, whereas the acrylic dries very quickly, almost too fast for me to paint. So I can either make individual leaves, and you can see I'm getting yellow all over myself, or I can make a clump of leaves and a nice little background. Why would I want to make a background? Pretty simple. It's the fact that dark backgrounds bring out light colors more. So here's my yellow, and you can see how I'm getting that aspen look, because the aspen will start to yellow on the outside. So actually I could use a bright green on there and it would look just like an aspen leaf. Now the one thing this doesn't do is it doesn't give you the shape of the aspen leaf. See, I can just do bright ones over here if I want to. And of course they fall all over the ground. So got my leaves on the ground already. But it does not give you the aspen shape. And when I say that, the aspen kind of comes to a tip. It's kind of pear-shaped a little bit. But so far away you can't really make that out. All you can make out the fact that the eye makes out is that this is round. So again, a tree like this, if I want to cover my mistakes, I would tend to go over the fat parts and boom, all of a sudden they disappear, and then the branches reappear and appear in and out as the leaves cover them. And you could actually sit here all day and just make yourself a really nice aspen. And again, the leaves, just like the branches, they taper towards the top. So you start thin, move out. Okay, let's just take one and make it all yellow. You can see here he's thinner. Now I'll just move out. And you can see it's a little harder to cover that yellow, that black with the yellow. So you might have to work at it a bit. That's why you use the black or the darker background of the yellow ochre, and it kind of shows you a little bit of the shading of the branch. See, that's covering it there, and then you go over it with just a touch of this. Just touch it, and it actually raises the paint up a little bit, gives a little bit of a look like the sun is reflecting off it. Oops, I just got my yellow in my yellow ochre, so now I have a nice combination color. And you can see this gets fatter at the top, easily fixed. Start with one, widen out, widen out, widen out, boom, all of a sudden it looks like it tapers towards the middle. So you can sit here all day covering your mistakes. And making your tree look just like it was natural. See that? It looks like there's a clump of leaves there. It doesn't really give you any individuality. But that's how aspens are. And unfortunately, all my leaves that I watched leaf out in May are leaving me right now. Gonna leave me for the winter. Make it all stark. Okay, I'll show you the finished product in a minute.